there, and we'll get going with your questions and Sunday night MLB talk. Got a couple things to talk about tonight, so kind of excited to be joining everybody. Hopefully it won't be too much longer there. So let me get myself positioned here so the lighting's decent. Pardon me for the cough. Just clearing my throat, getting ready. Just going to wait a couple minutes for everybody to join here as we get on to the Sunday night talk. Glad everybody could join me here. Just making up for last night. Was hoping to do one around 10 o'clock. Was actually doing a fantasy baseball live stream. And was hoping that I could show you guys my screen while I was doing that. And naturally with technology, everything kind of went kerplunk. So wasn't able to do that. So felt like I owed you guys a live stream tonight. We'll see how long we'll go for. Try to go for at least a half hour. Answer everybody's questions here. Got some notes, a couple things that I want to cover here. And just get it right off the hop. Just want to thank everybody for joining me for the Sunday night live stream. Haven't hit subscribe, make sure you do that after this. Especially right now, we got that prize vlog going on. And I had a couple people ask questions. How do I get in on your prize vlog? Well, it's simple. If you want to get in on the prize vlog, go find the vlog. It's titled a prank, Joe Carter prank. And if you find that one, you'll be able to watch it. And in that, Joe Carter pranks a Blue Jays player. Put who that player is that Joe Carter's pranking. It's all in the clip. Put it in the comments below. Make sure you're a subscriber. And when we do our regular live stream next Sunday at 1:30 p.m., we're going to pull one of the lucky viewers out of my hat, and that person's getting a really cool prize. It's actually a cameo, and if you don't know what a cameo is, it's like a 2-3 minute personalized message that will get sent to you. I'm not sure how they send it, probably via email, and it's going to be top MLB prospect for the Jays, number, let's see here, 16 on the list or 14? Anyways, Nate Pearson. So that's kind of cool. That's coming up, so make sure you get on that. You got another week to get in. So we're already getting the questions, and before I get to that question about Odorizzi, because it kind of ties into what I wanted to say, I did a vlog a couple days ago. Sorry for the noise in the background. That guy drinking there is my pug bulldog, so I guess he wants to make an appearance, and I bribed him with cookies to try to keep him quiet here. But anyways, back to what I was rambling about. I did a vlog a couple days ago where I talked about how the Jays rotation right now is a disaster, could be a disaster, and I'm going to stand behind that. And it hurts me to say that as a Jays fan, but the real big reason why I wanted to say that was a rate that I read in StatsCan in pitcher line. So I had to get it from two credible sources, and 4 out of the 5 pitchers for the Jays, obviously not Ryu, and I maybe we'll say 3 out of 5 because Pearson really didn't have a lot of chance at the MLB level last year. My point being, though, is Steve Matz, Robbie Ray, and Tanner Roark are all pitching above 17% for their walk rate or outside the strike zone. So what I'm saying is almost 1 out of every 5 pitches that these guys are trying to pitch for a strike ends up being a ball. That's why Robbie Ray, Tanner Roark, and even Steve Matz last year had incredibly high walk rates. And if you go into this a little bit more in depth, this is where it gets scary. Those 3 guys are actually rated in the top 10% for the worst control right now for starters in baseball. And these are guys we're counting on to be number 2, 3, and 4. That's why I said they pitch like a 5 and 6. Nothing against Robbie Ray, Tanner Roark, Steve Matz, or Ross Stripling. I don't see anything there to get encouraging. Now, they could all have bounce back years. I don't think Tanner Roark will. A lot of people said when Tanner Roark was pitching last year, and even seeing him a little bit in spring training, looks like when he was in a major league game, he was throwing batting practice. That hurts. That's a horrible critique, but that's what was coming out of Tanner Roark. Additionally, nothing against Steve Matz, but his control was all over the place last year. Maybe he was just coming out of surgery, rehabbing. I don't know what it was with him. I got to do a little bit more research of why his control was so all over the place, but it was certainly very discouraging. And Robbie Ray, let's not get into his 6.0 ERA, his 19% walk rate. It's just horrible. And if you're getting all those guys on base, it's just going to lead to runs. And when you're down 5-0, I'm not saying the Jays lineup isn't great. It's actually one of the best in all of the American League. I'm super excited about it. But it's kind of a disappointment that if the lineup each day for the Jays is playing to get themselves out of a hole, it'd be nice if they can get themselves out to a nice, comfortable lead. And the only pitcher I see them doing that with is Hyun-Jin Ryu. And let's get into Ryu. Pardon me as I scratch my nose. Nothing against Ryu, but the issue with him simply is he has only pitched once between 2013 and 2019 a full season. He gets hurt. He's kind of like James Paxton, a lot better. But one thing you can count on is Ryu getting hurt. And with Ryu being 34, I believe, this year, getting up there, my biggest concern, and I was reading it in Sports Illustrated, was how long is it going to take him to continue to get healthy from these injuries? Ryu always bounces back quickly, but age always will come and sort of bite you in the butt. Hey, I'm 40 and I'm feeling it now. So my point is, most people suspect that we're going to lose Ryu for at least 5, maybe 6 games this season for injury. That was said even before we signed him. It's just a risk with getting him, and we were okay with that because we knew that 25 or 26 games were going to be stellar. My point was, with the disaster, is what happens if Ryu is maybe injured for 9? That's almost a third of all his starts. You couple that with Nate Pearson only being able to throw 150 innings or 25 starts. That's another 7 or 8 starts that somebody's going to have to make up for him. That means somebody like Ross Stripling or even Tanner Roark is going to have to make up to 16 starts for the Toronto Blue Jays. That's half a season. That's not going to get it done. I'm sorry. And I guess we're going to be looking at our depth right now if we don't sign Jake Odorizzi, and that's going to get into my first question tonight. I guess we're going to be leaning on players like Anthony Kay, Thomas Hatch, Julian Mayweather, and I don't know what your thoughts are with them. None of them have been really MLB tested other than Hatch, but that's the scenario, especially if Tanner Roark blows up quickly. Robbie Ray is all over the place. Imagine if we lose those 2 starters as early as May just because of their discipline. And then all of a sudden you're counting on Ross Stripling and maybe Anthony Kay to fill in. And then all of a sudden, Hyun-Jin Ryu gets hurt. Then you're going very deep into our depth, and our depth doesn't seem as incredible then. Then you actually have Kay, Hatch, and Mayweather as regular starters for the Jays. That's not something I envisioned. And my biggest worry when I said disaster going in with the Jays was simply what happens if we get ourselves in too big of a hole come July. What if we're down too far where it doesn't seem achievable or even plausible to be buyers at the midseason? So we're not talking about trying to get somebody like Sonny Gray or maybe somebody like German Marquez or Kyle Hendricks, just because it's not worth it. Even if we get those pitchers, the padding, it's just too deep to get that wild card spot. And that was my concern when I said the Jays rotation just might be a disaster. It was nothing against them. It's just not where we want it to be. So that's what we have to consider. Pardon me for 1 second here. Gotta let my doggy out. Apologies for that. But continuing on there, Jake Odorizzi. I think it's kind of like our last hope for the Blue Jays. So I'm glad somebody asked that question right off the hop. And why do I say that? Well, there's just no other solid starter out there. Jake Odorizzi kind of had a bad season. I wasn't huge on him at the beginning of the season, but I wasn't huge on Jake Odorizzi just because there were so many other options available for the Blue Jays. And that well has dried up. Everybody signed right from Shoemaker to Happ to Taijuan Walker. So Jake Odorizzi is the last man standing. It's coming down to years. What I heard was the Jays were comfortable offering him 1 year, maybe 2 max. He didn't want that. That's why he's sniffing now over at the Giants, the Angels, and the Marlins. But if the Jays were offered 3 to 39, that would get the deal done. It's not what we want. We don't want Jake for 3 years. But the Jays paying an additional year or overpay for a year just seems to be the norm with the Blue Jays. We did it with Ryu. Nobody said that he should be signed to 4 years. The Jays did it. They say his 4th year is going to be trouble. That's why I was talking about injuries. Everybody said that George Springer should be a 5-year contract. The Jays offered 6. So in doing that, that just comes down to what the Jays have to get done if we do want to get Jake Odorizzi. Sorry, my dog wants to make a cameo here, I guess. So that's what I was talking about when I started talking about the Jays being a possible disaster this year. And I think Jake Odorizzi, the Jays just have to get that deal done. And why do we have to get that deal done? Well, when we signed George Springer, I was okay with the Jays lineup kind of stinking a little bit. And what do I mean by that? Well, I look like George Springer, a lot like Hyun-Jin Ryu, building blocks to get the Jays where we needed to be a postseason team. Then the Jays went out and they signed Marcus Semien for $18 million. And I got excited like a lot of Jays fans. Okay, this isn't building blocks. We're going for it. We're going all in, it seems like. Well, maybe not all in, but we're going hard. And then every Jays had a question, every Jays fan. Okay, well, when is the starting pitching coming? And part of me, I believe it was the biggest need for the Jays this year. Starting pitching, the biggest need, the biggest albatross for the Jays. And we did nothing. I'm sorry. Nothing to address that. I said that we're maybe comparable to where we were last year. We'll see what happens with Nate Pearson. We're going to roll the dice. I mean, he even had a high ERA of 6. He had horrible control. Jake, and I'm not saying anything against Nate Pearson. He's going to be awesome. He's going to be a stud. He's going to be a number 2 for the Jays. He just needs some time to adjust. So putting the pressure on Nate Pearson this year to be a number 2 is incredibly unfair to him. He just needs to be a 5, really, shut down in September and really take this year as building blocks, not somebody who's expected to produce and achieve every single day. And that's what the Jays are doing now. And when they signed Marcus Semien and they didn't sign a starting pitcher, I started to get very frustrated. As I said, starting pitching was the biggest need for the Jays. We had nothing but question marks right behind Ryu. And if Ryu goes down, this whole ship will sink, in my opinion. Center field definitely was number 2 on that list. We had Randall Grichuk with his -8 defense. So we were able to get George Springer. So we definitely checked that box off. And then last but not least was our bullpen and third base. And we definitely upgraded our bullpen, and third base was solved by Marcus Semien. But we went over and above by solving that problem. And in fact, in my opinion, third base was the least of our problems. There were so many filler people that we could have signed just to get that done, where we didn't have to go all in for that $18 million and shuffle Kevin Biggio there. It's just how I feel. And one of those people the Jays could have signed was somebody like Ha-Sung Kim, paid him $8 million over multiple years rather than $18 million over 1 year. And I would have looked at Ha-Sung Kim as a building block rather than going all in, because he's going to need a year to adjust coming over from Korea. But that's my ramble about Jake Odorizzi and why I think the Jays could be a disaster this year. Just checking the questions here, just making sure we're doing okay. And the last one that somebody mentioned to me was, just making sure my chat's working here, there we go. Jackie Bradley Jr. When is Jackie Bradley Jr. going to sign? What's going on with him? Well, I think it comes down to being a Scott Boras client. And I think he could be in deep trouble. Spring training is already started. That's why Jake Odorizzi was posting those things on his Twitter account of him working out. He wants to make sure that teams know he's ready. But Jackie Bradley Jr., I think he kind of screwed himself, pardon my language, by playing hardball with the Mets. The Mets pivoted by signing Pilar for, what was it, $3 million for Kevin Pilar? Maybe $4 million. I don't know. I'm getting that mixed up possibly with Aaron Sanchez. My point being is the Mets are done, so now Jackie Bradley Jr. is trying to find himself a home. A lot of people have connected him with Boston, and I find that very interesting because I don't see Boston being able to afford Jackie Bradley Jr. Jackie Bradley Jr. wants those multiple years. He wants that big contract, probably something over $50 million. Most people feel comfortable paying him $20, $25 max, so there's a huge gap there. And additionally, the Boston Red Sox are already at $200 million, and they're kind of like some weird rebuild team that's lost in the abyss or the Bermuda Triangle. Nobody knows what's going on in Boston. We're just waiting for some of those players to come back healthy. Talking about Chris Sale. Maybe they'll produce, but I see Boston being huge sellers come the All-Star break, and even more aggressive sellers come the offseason and going into a full rebuild. I think Boston just realizes that they're farther behind the Yankees and the Blue Jays and even the Tampa Bay that they want to admit. And Baltimore has already started their rebuild last year, and they're going to get more aggressive this year. So if Boston wants to be an impactful team, they got to get that rebuild done. I could see them doing maybe a smaller rebuild like they did previously, but a rebuild nonetheless. Another thing that I've been getting some emails about that people have been questioning is what's going on with Alejandro Kirk, and is he going to be with the Jays? Everybody wants him to come up with the Jays, and I agree. I mean, Alejandro Kirk, I could see why they would say that. He's got that big bat. When we saw him in September, he was awesome. But that's what September is supposed to be all about. We get people that come up from AAA or from the minors. We get to see them for a bit. They get a chance to get a feel of what it's like to play in Major League Baseball. It's more for development, and that's what I want to stress with Alejandro Kirk is the word development. I'm going to be doing a vlog on him very soon where I say he actually should be in AAA. And why AAA? We all know he can hit. There's no question there. But the Jays lineup is awesome. Do we really need another bat? No, we need a pitcher. So my thought on this is why not put him in AAA and let him grow defensively? He's actually not very good behind the plate for pitch framing, for calling pitches, or getting batters out. And that's fair because he hasn't had a massive amount of time in the minors. And that's what AA and AAA is all about. Teach you that pitch framing, how to develop that rapport with the starting pitching, and more importantly, how to get base runners out, how to be an all-around catcher, both offensively and defensively, and that's what makes catchers really stand out. And oftentimes you'll see a catcher like Russ Martin, who maybe doesn't have the biggest bat, but is such an asset behind the plate defensively with his ability to catch runners or pitch framing or his rapport with pitchers, sorry to sound repetitive, that you just give him that big contract. So that's really what the Blue Jays need to do with Alejandro Kirk. Give him that year at AAA. Give him that chance to really adapt. And if the Jays are really pushing come late summer and they need that big bat in there, they need something else, and they can call him up in August or September. Give him all that time to really get himself comfortable behind the plate and then bring him up as an additional insurance piece for the postseason run. But that's really what I see with Alejandro Kirk. So my question that I wanted to ask everybody, something to chew on, leave it in the comments below. And that is, just want to check one thing here. Make sure we're doing okay. Who do you think is going to get more starts? I've talked about the Jays rotation being a bit of an issue with Robbie Ray, Tanner Roark, Ross Stripling, Pearson possibly getting limited to innings, Ryu getting hurt. My point is, who out of the three that are going to get called up, and the three that will get called up is Julian Mayweather, Thomas Hatch, and obviously Anthony Kay. Who do you think is going to get more starts, and who's going to be the most dynamic? For me, I'm really excited to see Anthony Kay come up. I think he was one of the big pluses in the Marcus Stroman trade, and I'm really excited to see him get a chance to start on a regular basis. And if Anthony Kay can somewhat develop into an awesome starting pitcher, wow, that could be a great piece for the Jays if one of those 3 or 4 pitchers just doesn't pitch well, and that's going to happen. It's going to be at least 2. So if we can get Anthony Kay pitching like we need Anthony Kay to, wow, that's really good. And that's what I got my fingers crossed for. But my question is, and leave it in the comments below, because I know a lot of people watch these live streams afterwards, who out of those 3 do you think will get the most starts? Thomas Hatch, Anthony Kay, or Julian Mayweather? And who out of those 3 are you most excited to see pitch? Going to close up here soon. As you can hear, my doggy's like, I think I'm ready to go for a walk. But my question is, which pitcher, obviously it would be a dream to get any of these 4, but these 4 pitchers are going to be free agents come 2022, at the end of this year's season. Clayton Kershaw, Justin Verlander, Matt Scherzer, and Noah Syndergaard. Now, maybe the Dodgers figure out a way to get Kershaw to retire there, or he goes to the Rangers. But who out of those 4 do you think would be an awesome piece, pardon me, for the Blue Jays? And how much do you think they're going to make? For me, I see Clayton Kershaw at least getting a minimum 3-year, $100 million extension. I know I said maybe $40 million because of what happened with Trevor Bauer, but Clayton I could see just going a little bit less. but definitely 3 years, $100 million, probably Kershaw with the Dodgers, and he goes there now and retires. On top of that, you got Justin Verlander. He's a little bit more interesting. He's a little bit older. He's great, but he's not Clayton Kershaw great, but still awesome. I suspect it's probably going to be 3 years, $75 million. Not something I want to see the Jays take a gamble on, but it'll be interesting to see who does, because Verlander's still Verlander. He's still great. The other two are really interesting, in my opinion, because they're definitely going to be free agents, I suspect. I don't see the Mets being able to re-sign or extend Noah Syndergaard. I think he wants to test the free agent market. I know we could talk about the R.A. Dickey trade that we lost Syndergaard on, but holy cow, how awesome would it be to have 4 in a Toronto Blue Jays lineup? However, I suspect with Syndergaard, you're looking at 8 years, $225 million, maybe something similar to what David Price signed. Expensive. That's right. If the Jays want to get one of these premium starters, they're looking at least $25 million annually for multiple years. That's one of the things why I'm glad the Jays payroll is at least around $150 going into next year, because we have the flexibility to at least maybe get this done. But I could be dreaming. And last but not least, probably the biggest name on the list, Matt Scherzer. $300 million easily, just the way the market's going to be. Way out of the Jays price tag. Maybe the Angels. I don't know. Maybe that's the piece that they need to get the deal done. But Matt Scherzer certainly is going to be one of the biggest free agents next year. And as I close up today, just want to thank everybody who's tuned in or is going to watch afterwards. Mid-season trade. Who do we want? Obviously, it's going to be probably a starter. I'd love to say like Jose Ramirez, third baseman, but we don't need one now. Or maybe somebody else. But I think it's going to be somebody like German Marquez, Kyle Hendricks, or Sonny Gray. I don't think Luis Castillo is going to be available just yet. Who out of those three do you like more? I love Sonny Gray just because he only makes $10 million a year, pitches for an awesome ERA between 3.5 to 3.8, and is very reliable. That's who I really want. I wish the Jays would have got it done this year. But who out of those three do you like? Kyle Hendricks, another awesome guy. Only owed $15 million to $17 million over the next 3 years. Has only had one season over a 3.5 ERA. This guy gets it done. He's got a lot of precision. He's a lot like Hyun-Jin Ryu and how he pitches. Pinpoint control. That's definitely who you want there. Kyle Hendricks, Sonny Gray, German Marquez, I guess number 3 on the list. I don't know. Leave it in the comments below. I got lots of questions for you guys. So I'm going to wrap up. I want to thank everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank you so, so much. Yeah, Noah Syndergaard, Cardinals. Yeah, I agree. You think it's going to be over $225 million? He's going to be an expensive one. That's for sure. As I said, I think I was kind of dreaming with the Jays there. Anyways, as I close up, I hope everybody goes back. Make sure you find that prize vlog. It's the Joe Carter prank. Make sure you find out who Joe Carter was pranking with auctioning off his van and enter it in the comments below. That way you can get in on that Nate Pearson cameo. I want to thank everybody who tuned in. As I said, this was just a quick one to make up for last night. Had hoped to do a live stream while I was doing my fantasy baseball. Let you guys all in and help me make my picks. But with technology, it all kind of went kerplunk. So we'll have to try to do that again because I'd love to see us make a cool fantasy baseball team as everybody together. Anyways, check out that prize vlog so you can get in on the Nate Pearson cameo. Everybody stay safe. Make sure you tune in next Sunday. It's going to be our regular live stream, 1:30 p.m., February 28th. That's when we'll do the draw. Hope everybody stays safe out there. And most importantly, we'll talk soon. Take care, everyone. Bye now.